Can you beat Kingdom Rush without towers? Surely a tower defense game can't just be beaten as a defense game, as doing it with one tower was hard enough. But maybe it's possible. The rules are simple. No building any towers or using any towers. This means I have to sell this archer tower and can't use any special buildings like the elven hut or the sorcerer building. The only things I'm allowed to use are heroes, reinforcements, and the rain of fire. So let's get into it. Usually I'd start a new save, but since this challenge is almost impossible, I'm just playing levels on my main account to give access to stars and heroes. To make the challenge a little harder on myself, I started without a hero until you naturally unlock one. The first level wasn't too bad. You don't unlock reinforcements until round 3, so I'd have to insta-call the first couple of waves until I had my spear-throwing legionnaires who cleaned up shop. When fully upgraded, the reinforcements are death machines that mow through enemies like a knife cutting butter. Unfortunately, this is as strong as they're gonna get. So, while they can kill the weak enemies now, the enemies just get stronger, bulkier, and more numerous in later levels. So, it might look easy now, but it gets a whole lot worse. Level 2 was a lot more of the same, except the enemies came in much bigger numbers. It pushed me back along the level and forced me to place a pair of reinforcements for singular wolves or enemies, which was annoying and a waste of resources. I also used the rain of fire a lot more on big groups of enemies to save time. Even though the level still wasn't too hard, I learned something interesting about the challenge. Since I literally have no need for money, there's almost no reason to call waves early. I assume like everyone who plays this game, I have zero caution and instead call every wave early like I'm in a hurry. I'm used to that, but calling waves early can easily lead to my meager reinforcements getting quickly overwhelmed. But occasionally it's a smart thing to do. If I'm in a tight spot and really need reinforcements, or more likely the rain of fire, I can call a wave early to refresh the cooldown and quickly take care of a group of enemies. This does leave me pretty defenseless for the next wave, but sometimes it's necessary. I also sometimes just kill everything before the next wave happens, so I call it early to not waste time. But I don't just call it early because I can get an advantage for the next round. Reinforcements despawn on a timer, so usually you can only get 2 of them on screen at a time. But while calling wave early refreshes the reinforcements timer, it doesn't knock down the current reinforcements despawn timer, so you can get 3 pairs on screen for the next wave. This is great for every stage, but especially for stages with 2 paths, such as level 3. Even though these 2 paths converge over here, I still decided to try and kill everything close to the entrance so I would have time to kill all the enemies. It was a little trickier than previous levels because each group of enemies only got 1 group of reinforcements, or if I sent 2 to one side, the other side had no reinforcements, and I had to manage that. But it turns out that ogres and shamans are pretty weak, so I didn't struggle too much and still beat this level with no lives lost. With level 4, I can finally start using heroes, and I decide on Gerald Lightseeker. This level kinda sucks, because even though every enemy comes out of the same spot, they quickly split off into separate paths, meaning that if I don't kill them immediately, it's a pain to clean them up. I have to use pairs of reinforcements on both sides, which again leaves the bottom unprotected, which lets more enemies sneak through and turns into one huge mess. I ended up losing 8 lives, but pulled out with a 2-star victory. The next level was more of the same. I lost some lives, mostly to wolves, but I played it enough to have a good strategy to deal with any enemies. Anytime there are matriarchs, I have Gerald kill all of them before going to help with the armored enemies. This prevents them from spawning a ridiculous amount of children that I can't deal with. The citadel is where things start to ramp up. I was still using Geraldo, who does physical damage, which is bad because just about every enemy in this level is covered in metal, meaning they resist damage from my attacks. At first, it wasn't too bad, but I got overrun in the 14th wave. There are several more annoying enemies, but the worst one is the Shadow Archer. These guys are the biggest pain in the world to kill and require me to move around my defense. Because of armor and archers, I decided to change my hero to Ten Shi. He does some magical damage, meaning he penetrates through armor to deal true damage. He can also teleport around the map, meaning he can disrupt some archers and save us in a pinch. I retried the level, and because of Ten Shi, I was able to kill the enemies much more efficiently. I used the reinforcement spears to take out the gargoyles and made it to the boss. My plan for killing the boss was non-existent, so I kinda just threw myself at him, praying that I wouldn't have to replay the level again. I started by placing Ten Shi at the front and calling the wave early to get 4 soldiers ready to throw spears. With all this damage, I also used the rain of fire to take out about half his health bar. I immediately had to switch to defense and defend against these groups of metal balls. Every so often I could teleport my hero to fight the boss for a bit or use my reinforcements, but mostly I had to play super defensively and wait for the rain of fire to come back and deal some real damage. I ended up losing 14 lives to the Juggernaut's minions, but used a rain of fire to deal the final blow and move us into the mountains. If you're enjoying the video, then make sure to subscribe for more videos like this every Monday. Thank you. It turns out that the ability to teleport along with pretty decent stats makes Tenchi better than all other free heroes, so I'm going to be using him exclusively for the rest of the run. The next level was as easy as always, and a nice break from thinking. After that, it got a little trickier because they brought back spiders, and a lot more of them. And to add to my pain, we have to face trolls. They have a ton of health, and for some reason the chiefs take 6 lives if leaked, so I had to be very careful. I used a similar strategy to the last spider level and focused on the spiders first to not create an alarming situation, and then fought the trolls later because they're easier to kill and don't multiply. The final wave was the scariest of them all. It started with winter wolves heading straight to the exit, and I just decided to let them leak so I could focus on the spider. I thought I was done with spiders and started attacking the yetis, but it turns out I was wrong, and there were still dozens to come. I spent time taking out the rest of the matriarchs, but that let the yetis reach the end of the line. They're worth 5 lives each, and I managed to KO 2 of them in the nick of time. I unfortunately left a matriarch alive and had that and 3 yetis facing me down. I used reinforcements to kill the matriarch, and Tenchi turned big just in time to kill the little spiders threatening to sneak by. I had to leak 2 yetis, but I had enough lives to take a 1-star victory. That was a rough level, and it taught me a valuable lesson. Since we can't really upgrade things throughout the game, it just gets exponentially harder the longer you survive. I went into the last round with 20 lives and finished with 4. The game expects you to get a better and better defense, so it sends out more and more harder enemies. I guess I do get to level up my hero, but that can only take me so far. Coming this close scared me for the 4 levels to come, but I trekked on. The next level unfortunately had 3 paths, which was awful. I kept Tenchi on the bottom path most of the time, as it spat out high armor enemies that were perfect for Tenchi. I then mixed my reinforcements around the trolls and wolves when needed. I teleported my hero away if things were getting close, but almost everything just handled itself, letting me reach the boss with 19 hearts. I started out the same way as the Juggernaut, by front-loading as much damage as I could. I dealt tiny bits of damage here and there, but just barely had the Rain of Fire reload in time for me to take him out without dying. Next up is the Waste, and the amount of micro I had to do with Tenchi might have given me carpal tunnel. There were constant leaks and sketchy situations, so I was always repositioning my hero and reinforcements, and I was constantly being saved by the Rain of Fire. I still ended up leaking 8 lives and was terrified of the levels to come, because the Waste is a cakewalk compared to the next level, Forsaken Valley. When I tell you I tried this level, I tried this level. For hours I threw myself at it again and again, but the farthest I ever got was Wave 15. Wave 14 features 25 Dark Knights and 25 Demon Spawn, which I just can't handle. I can Rain of Fire some of them away, but then I still have to deal with the rest, while other waves are coming out to join in on the fun. I'm not even close to the end, so I don't know if this is possible. So, is this it? Is this the end? I came all this way just to fail in the last 2 levels? Well, there is one more avenue I can explore. I've never allowed the gem shop in any of my challenges because it's completely overpowered and pay to win. But it's not a tower. I'll try and beat the final 2 levels with the minimum amount of gem shop items possible. For the Forsaken Valley, I only need 1 bomb. I wait on round 14 for all the enemies to come out, and then at the last second I pull the trigger and eliminate everything on screen. This lets me recharge my Rain of Fire and be ready for the rest of the level, where I played out of my mind and finished with 2 stars. But now we have the finale. I knew I would need some gem items, but I had a plan. Since there were only 15 waves, I was able to make it to Vzan with 11 lives remaining. I had to use 1 bomb along the way, but it's all good. I started the boss like all others by front-loading the damage. I initially started to defend the hordes of demons coming in, but then realized that as long as Vzan is in his wizard form, they'll just keep coming. So I fully focused him, and at the last moment I used another bomb to transform him into demon form, which stopped summoning enemies. This let me take out the remaining skeletons and demons and still have a surprisingly close bout with Vzan to finally end his reign of terror and restore peace to Linria without a single tower. If you enjoyed, then make sure to subscribe and help me make it to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.